This is the Night Wolf howling at you, and today we're going to be taking a look at the G.I. Joe Classified Series G.I. Joe Quick Kick figure. I'm guessing they had to put the G.I. Joe part in the front of Quick Kick in order to trademark it. Right now, I can tell that they did not do a particularly good job on the color match for the plastics. The neck, the head, the arms are all vastly different from the torso. I hope it'll pick up on the camera when I get him out of the box. On the side, we see him. He's actually playing with the nunchucks, but you can't really tell on any of the pictures. Or it should say you can barely tell. On the back, we see him with one sword and one chuck in hand. He does have some detailing on his pants. He's got bare feet. I think this may be the first figure to have bare feet in this line. And of course, he's got like little gimmicky Chinese throwing stars. But let's go ahead and take a look at his file card from the 80s. Silent Weapons. Codename Quick Kick. File name Ito MacArthur S. SN number, not going to read it. Primary military specialty infantry. Secondary military specialty intelligence. Birthplace Los Angeles, California. Grade E4. Subject's Japanese father and Korean mother owned a grocery store in Watts. Not accepted by either the Japanese or Koreans because of his mixed ancestry, and too short to play basketball, Quick Kick turned to martial arts. All martial arts. He is a ranking black belt in Taekwondo, Goju Ryu, Southern Praying Mantis Kung Fu, Tai Chi Sword, Zen Sword, and Wing Chun. Wing Chun is the only one I haven't actually heard of before. He was working as a stuntman in Hollywood when he was recruited for the G.I. Joe team. Qualified expert all NATO and Warsaw Pact small arms. Yet he doesn't come with a gun, but he comes with a candy bar. Here's the situation. You want to gain access to a vilified fort. You want to gain access to a fortified villa, 12-foot tall continuous wall toppled with razor spiral and only one gate through it, 2-inch steel plate on the gate, 2 sandbagged guardhouses with direct telephone link to the main house, 4 guards with submachine guns, 2 Dobermans, and a silent alarm hooked to a dead man switch that one of the guards is leaning on at all times. How do you do it? Have Quick Kick hit it. That's how. Quick Kick was actually one of my favorite characters for G.I. Joe. Um, at least until I learned about Tunnel Rat. But yeah, Quick Kick was pretty cool. And I would say he was the martial arts guy in G.I. Joe before Snake Eyes became the martial arts guy in G.I. Joe when you get right down to it, at least in the cartoon. So apparently if I don't say let's open this sucker up, I can't open a box. Here's the new backing for the G.I. Joe figure. It definitely looks better than the old one, but the Cobra one is much cooler looking in my opinion. He does come with a lot of accessories. All right. All right, so his belt isn't actually attached, but it does stay on really nicely compared to a lot of other ones. Let's see. Yeah, I think the color mismatch here is probably coming in pretty clear. Definitely, the torso is much different than the rest of the body, and it really throws it off. And I don't quite understand how they couldn't match that because I have not seen that problem with any other figure in this line that has had the bare torso. It looks like he's wearing one of those really crappy like costume muscle bodysuits, kinda. So let's go ahead and take a look at the articulation before we do any of the other stuff. Um, he does not appear to actually have the chicken neck thing going on. Like what's ever going on with his torso, we are not getting the same kind of give down at the collarbone area that we normally get with the G.I. Joe Classified series. So he does not have the chicken neck thing going on. There's very little give to it. I don't know why. This head, though, is still on a ball joint, so we can spin it all around. Look down, look up, look over to the side, look down. You can look at his own nipple almost. We got butterfly joints, which are very tight in him. And I'm guessing that has something to do with the torso design. Because, like, everything just stands out so much more on this torso because of the weird color variation going on. We can bend the arm up, or hinge the arm up, and hinge the arm down, and up again. We have a bicep cut, so we can spin it all around. We have the double jointed elbow. The elbow piece itself is using the same plastic as the torso, throwing even more chaos into the look when you, seriously, what did they do here? He does have an ab crunch, so he can crunch forward. He can crunch back, which as a martial artist, this makes sense. Come to think of it, he is practically doing that, um, the Neo thing with the bending over to avoid the bullets. We do have a ball joint in the middle, so we can spin them around and have them rock back and forth. We still have the drop down hips, although it does kind of feel like the left or the right leg here does not move as far as the left leg. And there's the image of that patterning that was on the box. And of course, you can spin the leg at the thigh cut. You know, that cut that's missing in all of McFarlane's figures. You can kick up yay far, and you can kick back yay far. And you can do a nice high kick, which is definitely good for a quick kick, since he is a martial artist. Double jointed knee. Wide open pants. So we now have the boot cut is actually now a calf cut because he's got no boots on. We do have the hinge at the foot. It's a pretty stiff joint on this one. And of course, we can still spin the foot around like we normally have been able to do. And he's got some kind of ugly looking toes. Although if there's any foot fetish specialist out there watching this, let me know. Are these toes worthy of a foot fetish or no? Also to note that his belt is actually part of his diaper, and it does appear to me to actually be a part of the same mold. His head sculpt is pretty decent. He does kind of look like he's blowing out his cheeks a little bit, in my opinion. But otherwise, it's not too bad. But he does come with another face sculpt that looks like he's doing a kissy mouth almost. Guessing that's supposed to look like he's eating the chocolate, maybe? I don't know. The hair has a little bit of a blowing quality to it. side by side, I'm not really sure. His cheeks are not as pronounced in the blowing kisses face, which I think does actually look better in that regard, but the lips do not look better in that regard. And the eye paint isn't doesn't look like it's the greatest on there either. And he is raising one eyebrow on the blowing kisses face. So I really have no idea what's going on with that expression. For equipment wise, we do have two slapping hands, although this would be more like for chopping with martial arts. We got your standard fists. Again, we have that chocolate bar. They actually used a metallic paint on part of it to do the foil. We have the. It's supposed to look like he's throwing star. And they put a slight metallic paint to it. Not enough to really make it stand out too much, though, in my opinion. So I think they should have done that a little bit better. Plus, there's none on the sides, so that's kind of weird. He comes with two nunchucks, two pairs of nunchucks. And see if we can see this. It looks like there's maybe a open cat mouth on the end of it, or a snake, perhaps. Maybe when I enlarge the picture I take of these, I will be able to get a better look at it. It also kind of looks like it could be a shark, too. They're rubber, so I don't think, unlike, say, vintage Ninja Turtle Michelangelo chucks, I don't think these are going to break. And I didn't note this before when I was showing him off, but he does have a spot to put them on his belt. So you can have them back there like that. Here's his backpack. It is not the same style as what he had in the vintage line, but it will fit both of his swords, which also have that same design at the end. Whether it is a snake, a large cat, or a shark, I'm not sure yet. I have a suspicion that when we get the retro card back version of Jinx instead of the classified version, she might come with these same swords because they look like they belong to her, even though the backpack is not the right design for it. And the backpack does match his sash, I guess. Except for, here we go. Let's see. Move. Okay, you have to position the sash down under the hole to put that in place. We can put his nunchucks in his hand. We also have the throwing star that we can kind of position like that, so it looks like he's tossed it. Something like that. I'm honestly not too impressed with this part here. I don't like those nunchucks or nunchucks. Jeez, I don't like that throwing star design very much at all. I think it just. I think if they had left out the extra patterning here to make it look like clear chucks. Oh my God, what is wrong with me? So it looks like a clear star. I think that should have been gone. So it just was the you know the air disturbance behind it, I guess we could call it. I think that would have looked better, but I'm still not that impressed with it. And again, part of the problem with that might just be that the star itself is just barely painted. Like you have to hit it in the right light to really see it. Otherwise, it just looks like it's a hunk of plastic. Well, I mean, it is a hunk of plastic, but it doesn't look like there's much on there depending on how the light hits it. You can, of course, hold both of his swords. Now, as kind of a depressing treat here, I have the quick kick I played with as a child from the vintage line, and he has a broken O-ring. Luckily, I was looking up online today after I dug him out. I was able to find that he does in fact, or I should say that the O-rings can be replaced. You can either buy them online specifically, quote, for the GI Joe figures, and like a 50 pack of them is between $8 and $12. Or you can go to your local hardware store and buy a pack for, I don't know how much yet, but apparently the recommendation is the number 9 O ring. As far as some differences go with him, Quick Kick's sash actually went down to his waist in the original toy, which they obviously did not do that here, just having the sash go all the way around. I think I kind of prefer this look overall, if I'm being honest. He does have kind of puffy cheeks on the original toy, though it's probably hard to tell. Not quite as much like that. And they gave him a much more pronounced chin with a slight cleft to it in this figure, it looks like. He kind of reminds me of like the Asian version of Bruce Campbell, if I'm being perfectly honest. Let me know your opinion on that one for sure. But his diaper in this version, it did have the darker gray belt, but it had blue pouches on it, which I kind of like the differential on that. I am sure that when it comes time to do a retro card back version of it, they'll paint the pouches blue at the very least. Who knows? Maybe they'll paint the parts where the chucks go also blue. Although I wonder if they will have the strap actually go to his waist on the one side instead of like that. Of course, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not sure how well this would actually hold up on a person anyway. Has anybody? I've never looked up Quick Kick cosplay. Has anybody done that? I'll I'll look myself at some point, but if you've seen it, let me know. Right now, I really wish I remembered what the name of the candy bars were he was trying to sell when he first appeared in GI Joe. Anyway, overall though, I think this is a good update for the Quick Kick figure. I do think the face sculpt could have been a bit better, but it's not a deal breaker. Actually, let's put on the other head sculpt, shall we? However, I do not like. I think they really screwed up the color match on the torso to the rest of the body. I think it just the problem is that it's so far different that it really stands out too much. Like if it was just a little bit different, it wouldn't. Like as long as it didn't stand out so much, it wouldn't be an issue. But it definitely stands out way, way too much, in my humble opinion. But that I think will do it for our look at the G.I. Joe classified version of Quick Kick. Let me know what you think, um, especially about the whole kind of looks like Bruce Campbell, or the Asian version of Bruce Campbell. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Peace and love. Kind of forgot to mention, the original Quick Kick did come with one nunchuck and one sword, and his backpack looked like this. So the design itself is actually pretty close to the original backpack, only designed to hold 2 swords instead of 1, but you still got all the same pouches basically around it. So this isn't too bad of an update. And of course, I had to put duct tape. God, this duct tape has probably been on there for at least 10 years. To hold it in place on his back. But yeah, actually, because at first I was like thinking when I saw the backpack, it really didn't look like his original one because the color, not only was the color wrong, but the style was wrong. But when you get right down to it, it basically just looks like a slightly bigger version of the backpack, only designed to hold 2 swords instead of 1. So it is a good update. And so probably when they get around to doing a retro card back one, I'm sure they'll still use the same backpack, probably in gray this time, and the same swords. But yeah, okay. His sword, however, did have a slight bit of a curve to it, where these ones are perfectly straight. And actually, when you get right down to it, they're about the same length, which is kind of scary. Actually, the blade lengths themselves are almost exactly the same, and the handles are vastly different, though. So really, the classified sword really should come out to about here instead if they wanted to keep in the same scale. But these do look like they're in scale for Jinx, so because she did have shorter swords in her original release.